Good evening, everyone. Prof, good evening, sir. When by 8:15, I think we'll be able to start. People are joining already. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Prof. Good evening, my colleagues. Good evening, Mr. Israel. Mm, Prof, please, if you would like to address us before we begin. Mm,
Hello. Okay, sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
Good evening, sir. It was past 8:15 already. I asked if you
Oh,
can, before we begin, maybe just
okay.
address
Sorry,
us,
I
sir.
didn't know you were
Oh,
referring to me. Okay, thank you so much. So, my dear colleagues, good evening. I'm very delighted to be with you today. Really appreciate stakeholders meeting because I feel this our well, we have many professions, and there are our professions under the umbrella medical rehabilitation professions, and uh, there's no way that we can be able to achieve greatness if we don't work with all stakeholders. And every stakeholder is important. I always say this, that whenever something great is achieved, it comes through collaborations. Everyone makes contributions, and at the end of the day, you'll see something huge. Whatever one person does can never be great. This is something that I believe very strongly in. Another thing that's also important is that there's what is called SWOT analysis: strengths, weakness, threats, and opportunities. What this means is that if every organization or individual uh, does SWOT analysis, they know their strength and they know their weakness, and then the person that they're going to collaborate with, they know their strength and they know their weakness. That is where you'll be able to identify your strength that you will support others, and you'll be able to identify the strength of others that they will be able to support you in your area of weakness. So collaborations help a lot. I strongly believe as we have interactions here, there are many things that are going to come up that will be supportive to the board. But at the same time, there are things that we'll discuss that the board will support you. So it's an interesting one. And I've come to realize that the young ones are our hope for advancement and innovations in these professions. I've seen it. I see a lot of potentials. But then someone that has that potential, the potential may not really come up to be able to support and seize community development if you don't support those people with potential to be able to achieve greatness. So this is an important one. Thank you so much. Over to you. Maybe if you can coordinate. Let's see. I don't want to speak for a very long time. The most important thing here is for me to listen. This is why we organize this meeting. So I'm going to listen, hear from you, and then if there are things that I need to respond to, I will respond, either clarify things or take note of feedback that will be given to us as a board. So you're all welcome. Thank you so much. May God bless you all.
amen. Thank you so much, sir. Um, good evening, everyone. My name is Dotun. I'm a recent physiotherapy graduate from OAU. Um, some of us might have seen a message that went around that led to this. There have been talks amongst ourselves, even before I know most of us, even before we left the university, before we got inducted, we were aware of the situation on the ground, and we felt like we have not really gotten any interaction with the board to address our issues or the issues that we have. Um, People talk about the silence that the silence is a really big deal, which might not be the board's intention. And maybe there is communication, but it is not getting across board. It is not getting across board. And so, ahead of tonight, we put out a Google form to collect questions to make this easier. Hopefully, we would still put in a space for online, like live questions. But because we know people have similar concerns, and most of the questions that came in, over almost 70 questions, most of them, keep repeating the same points. And I've organized those questions into themes. And for those who the Zoom is already filled up, but YouTube, there's a YouTube alternative that we can join to listen. So we'll begin with occupational therapy, sir. And so someone is asking, why do hospitals have occupational therapy assistants but do not have OTs that can supervise? And this person's rationale for asking is, if there are OTs there, it would help to create space for intern OTs. For example, FMC or as occupational therapy assistants, but they do not have OTs, and because of that, occupational therapy students cannot intern there.
The thing I will, oh, is it network that stopped you? I can't hear.
Oh, sir, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. I don't know if you are
Okay.
done. You want me to answer the question, or it's just network that made you to made us not
No,
to
I
hear you?
wanted you to answer, sir.
Sorry?
I was done with the question, sir.
Okay, you want me to go ahead and answer? Okay, so you want me to answer as you ask the questions one after the other. That's fine. Okay, thank you so much. The issue of assistance, I think possibly might be more relevant to occupational therapists, but it's something that is uh, relevant across board because we have this almost in all the professions that are regulated by the board. Now, I agree with you very strongly that there is need for the professional to be present to supervise the occupational therapist assistants or the assistants generally across board. So if you don't have enough professionals uh, and you have many OTs or other professions assistants are being produced and they get into the system, there's this saying that nature abhors a vacuum, and therefore people are going to begin to use those assistants in the absence of enough professionals to go around the hospitals. But on the other hand, people give them an inch, they take a foot. And therefore, hospitals and other clinics that realize they pay less to OT assistants, even if the professionals are available. Oh, actually, I was using my earpiece, so just let me know if it's better now. I've just
It's
removed
better
it to
now.
use the system speaker directly. Just let me know if it's better now.
It's better now, sir.
Is it better now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good, great. Okay, so yes, so hospitals, because they know they will pay less uh, when they appoint OT assistants, even if the professionals are there, they will refuse to appoint them. And either mischief or ignorance make them to employ assistants when they know, or possibly they don't know, that the training of assistants does not give them that skill to be able to assess patients, use clinical reasoning to evaluate them, make a diagnosis, and then plan the treatment. So they don't know that, or maybe they know, but they don't care. All they want is just, let's have someone that's just going to give the treatment, because there's a lot of lack of awareness on the scope of practice of many of the professions that the board regulates. But the issue here is about having a very strong regulation. If there is a strong regulation, they are not going to do that. I had a discussion with the former Minister of State, the one that is now in the Ministry of Education. And I told him about these issues that we have, because we were discussing the issue of continuing to have the diploma programs to produce assistants, even produce community rehabilitation workers, because we are not present in the community at all. And there are so many patients there that need our services. And I told him that the board stopped accrediting institutions for such diploma programs because of these issues of regulation. And he said, well, that's why you are here. The act has empowered you. He said, write to all hospitals and let them know that this is the rule. They can take them, but with conditions that they must have those that are going to supervise them. And we started that. I remember a state where the hospital is even headed by a technician, while they are professionals in the department, but they are working under the technician. So we had to write to the MD. When the MD did not take action, we wrote to the permanent secretary of health in the state, and they took action. These are the things that we have been doing, but we can't be able to know all the hospitals and all clinics that have such, where there are technicians or assistants, but there are no professionals to supervise them. And therefore will depend on our surveillance volunteers. And even if you have not signed in to join the surveillance volunteer program, you can be a good Samaritan. When you see problems like this, just write to either inspectorate@mrtb.gov.ng or surveillance. I will get the email and I will post it. But inspectorate@mrtb.gov.ng is one that the board staff are monitoring. And whenever there are reports of hospitals or clinics where there are assistants or technicians working without someone to supervise them, the board will write to the institution and warn them. And if they don't take action, we write to their superiors. Because if it is a state hospital, they will have a permanent secretary or a commissioner. If it is a federal hospital, there's going to be the Ministry of Health, the permanent secretary, and the minister. And we have already started taking that decisions. Another thing that we have done is to make sure that wherever there are diploma programs, that there must be degree programs. So I know some states, hospitals, or institutions, colleges will reach out to us that they want to start the diploma program, and we tell them, is there a degree program around where the institution is? If they say no, we'll say you must have degree programs. Just yesterday, I was in NUC because I realized that there are many programs. Okay, there are many diploma holders coming out from an institution in Lagos that are producing chiropractors and osteopaths. And instead of having them continue to be produced and no one to supervise them, they came to me, they want to be licensed. I said, there's no way that you can be licensed without a professional program. And therefore, we had to reach out to NUC just to make sure that there is a possibility for the professional program to come up. Because there are times that stopping those diploma programs, you don't even know that they are producing them. It's through our surveillance volunteers that we get to know all those things. And there are many that are out there. If you don't license them, they are going to continue to be quacks. But if you want them to be licensed, then there must be supervisors. And those supervisors will come through having degree programs in the universities. So this is the situation of things. But I assure you we'll continue to do our best. But I want to call on all of us that when we see such practices, that it should be reported to the board so that the board can take action against those that are doing those practices. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. Uh, That was the only question that we had from the OTs. But in case any OT is here and has a question, you can put in the comments, and but we will be moving to P and O now. So for P and O, several questions came in as well. I think they were all from Federal University. Um, they were all from Photo. They were all from Photo. So the first question is, so how can we verify that a health institute is approved by the Mrtb? There is no list of government hospitals that offer internships in P&O. And then follow-up question related to that is, are these hospitals, National Orthopedic Hospital Enugu and University of Uyo Teaching Hospital, are they accredited by the Mrtb to take P&O interns? Over to you, sir.
Yes, okay. Thank you very much. There is a list that we have, and we updated recently. Some months back, there was no single institution, either public or private, that was doing internship. None at all. Few months back, I had a discussion with the president and his team, then before the election, Dr. Chukwado. And after our discussion, I realized that there was none. But people, graduates are coming out, especially from Futo, and they don't have any place to go to. At some point, I think they started to go to private hospitals that were not accredited. But because we have a policy that henceforth only accredited institutions can offer internship, we sat down with them, discussed with them. I think it was even at that meeting that I told them that there is need for the board to have a prosthetist and orthotist working in the board, because a few months back, there was no single prosthetist and orthotist working in the MRTB. So it was at that time that I asked the president to recommend someone that would take up a temporary appointment or a locum appointment before we are able to recruit full-time staff through waiver from the federal government. And we got Victoria. Victoria Nwaogu came in, and she did wonderfully well. We had a discussion with her the first time she came to the board, and I said, can you go out, survey, and get places that potentially can be accredited? And because they were afraid of asking for accreditation for internship themselves because of the cost, I told her, I said, we can do this at no cost. So to some institutions, some private clinics, we ask them only to pay for the resource person's transport and accommodation, or sometimes only honorarium. While to some that have the interest but complain that they didn't have enough funds to be able to pay even that, we told them that we can do it free. And we did that. I think at the moment we have about 4 or 5 that have been accredited for internship. I know we have few in Owerri, and we have 1 or 2 in Lagos. And I think 1 or 2 also in Abuja. We have the list. It's going to be released by Monday. We have not we can release the one that is updated up till 2 weeks ago, but we are trying to cover those other institutional hospitals that we have accredited in the last 2 weeks, so that by Monday the most current list will be out. I think we have about 48 to 50 institutions for all the professions, of course with physiotherapy having the highest number, but P&O, I believe we have around 4 or 5 in that list, and we are continuing to do advocacy. We have been to hospitals. I know I was in Owerri, FMC, Federal Teaching Hospital, Owerri. We discussed with them. I think the reason that they have not had the internship accreditation is because they have ordered equipment. From what I remember, we discussed with the CMD, and they said the moment they complete putting together what they need for the accreditation, they will invite us. I've not been to Enugu, but now that you have mentioned Enugu, I think I'm going to visit Enugu, because I've been doing that advocacy visit to a number of places. Remember, we wrote to a Bobby to start internship. This is something that I got a mandate from the Minister of State for Health. He gave me the mandate to write to all hospitals, ask them to start. But the problem is that when you ask people to start and they don't have a budget for equipment and staffing, you just have to give them some time to be able to include it in the budget. But we have been doing those advocacies. And hopefully, in the near future, we are going to have more coming up. So that's the situation with the P&O institutions institutions offering internship. At the end of this program, I will release the most current internship list, and by Monday next week, we'll release another one that will include the few that have been added in the last few weeks after the accreditations, successful ones were done. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. So because the issue of the current list is also one that a question that came in repeatedly with even physiotherapists, with even the physiotherapists. I think this is still related to taking interns for P&O. Why are government hospitals with facilities for P&O not giving approval to take interns? And why are most hospitals in Lagos not accredited for P&O internship despite having the necessary facilities?
Actually, internship is something that a hospital is not compulsory. So self-practice, when you are practicing, when you have a department, you must have accreditation for self-practice. It's not a choice. Hospitals can decide that they want to have accreditation for self-practice, because self-practice is about treatment of patients, and in as much as you establish a department, you don't have any choice, you must have an accreditation. But internship is not compulsory in any regulations of the country. And therefore, a hospital may decide to do internship. A hospital may decide not to do internship. And that is why internship only accreditation is done based on request by the institution. So the institution is going to write to the board to say that we want to start internship, we want accreditation so that we can be able to start the internship. Of course, if they start the internship without accreditation at the end, those that complete their internship will not get licensed from the board. And that is one of the reasons why they seek the permission of the board to start an internship. So there could be as many as possible that have what it takes to do internship. But unless they reach out to the board, there's no way that the board will just go to them and say, we must do accreditation, you must start an internship. And that is why advocacy is important. And I've just told you how we did advocacy through the association, through our staff that has been reaching out to many clinics, and how we waived the funds and said, because interns should get space, let's just do it for them for free. So this is the situation. But I want to encourage you, if you as a team can begin to do that advocacy, either through senior colleagues or yourself visiting those facilities and explaining your situation and encouraging them to reach out to the board so that they can have their facilities accredited, you can even let them know that because of the dire situation, the board is willing to reduce. So don't say to waive completely. The board will be willing to reduce the cost. Because why I said don't say free, because we need to pay the resource persons that are going there, because we don't have resource persons in the board. We invite them from outside. What we did with those that we did for free, we just selected people that we thought will agree to do it without asking for any remuneration. And we sent them. They went, they did it, they sent us the report, we approved, and they were not paid. But we can't continue having people go with their own money, spending their own personal funds. We need to at least support them with the minimum that is required, either transport or accommodation when they move out. So feel free, go to them, talk to them, advocate. When they reach out to us, we assure you that we are going to do the needful. You can use also politicians. If it is government hospitals, Sometimes you will know someone that can speak to the hospital. Let them know your issues, your problems. And I assure you that personally, I'm going to continue to do this advocacy. There is no state that I go to for accreditation. Sorry, I've never gone for accreditation, for induction, that I don't go to either the teaching hospital or a particular clinic in the state to advocate for issues like this. And I will continue to do that so that we can expand and continue to have more of them come on board. So this is something that we need to do together. You do it from your own side, approach senior colleagues, approach politicians, go to the hospitals yourself. Myself, I'm going to continue to do that. I will ask our colleagues that go for accreditation to let them know whenever you go for accreditation, you go to the teaching hospital, please advocate for them to start internship for other medical rehabilitation professionals if those that are not available in the institution.
All right, thank you, sir. Yes. So, the most recent list that I believe is in circulation is one from October. I sent that to the group while you were speaking, and someone pointed out that there is no um occupational therapy. Occupational therapy is not included in that list. So ahead of the list that you will send tonight and on Monday, so if you could speak briefly on that.
Yes, actually, I agree there is no single occupational therapy program that is accredited. And that is because there is none that we are aware of that has reached out to the board. None. So I think the same thing that I've said about this advocacy, those that are in the identify those places. If there are private institutions, the only thing about private institutions is that they need to have an MOU with a teaching, a hospital, if they are just a clinic and not a hospital. Because the interns will go around the various specialties, and there's also inpatient and outpatient. And therefore, if a clinic wants to start, we have done that for physiotherapy clinic in Benin. It's a clinic, not a hospital, but they went to a specialist hospital and they got an MOU. And what that means is that they take the interns, but when the interns need to rotate to a specialty or for inpatient, they send them to specialist hospital, they do the rotation, they come back and they finish from that clinic, we give them a certificate. People frowned at it because they thought, how can a clinic run internship? But I said, we have many people out there, and if the principle is maintained, that they go through all the rotations, including those in the hospital where they had the MOU, we are going to allow them. And we did. And right now, they are running the internship program. So if OT professionals can search around, see those places, let me know, send the list to us with their addresses. If there is phone number, send to us. Another thing is, we don't have a single occupational therapist in the board. The only one that we had traveled out of the country. I reached out to the association. I said, recommend someone that will come. I will give them a job just like I gave a job to the P&O. But up till now, I've not gotten a single person that will come and take up that job. If we have someone, just like Victoria went round searching and got about 5 to be added to the list. If we have an occupational therapist in the board, that person will help us do the same. So let me just let you know, if you know anyone that can take a job in the board in Abuja, let that person send their CV to me so that I can give them that job. It's a locum job. It will not pay as much as a full-time job, but what we usually do to them is to send them on accreditations or inductions, even if it is not for their own profession, so that they can be able to do the job. Usually there will be some allowances that they will have. At the end of the day, that will augment whatever we pay them directly from the job in the board. And that's what we have been doing to people that we take on locum. So if there is any audiologist on this platform, it's the same situation. We don't have a single audiologist. We have a speech therapist.
Unfortunately, she is not even in Abuja. She's still in one of the zonal offices, and that has been giving us a lot of problems too. So if there is any audiologist, occupational therapist, please encourage your senior colleagues that have completed their NYSC, let them come and take up the job so that they can be able to do this, facilitate these issues that we are talking about. Very important. If we can get, we'll be able to solve some of these problems at that level.
Right. Thank you, sir. So there are other questions here. Why is it difficult for piano graduates to find internship placements in government hospitals? But I think all these are addressed indirectly or directly when in your answers. Why do federal government hospitals rarely advertise internship opportunities for P&O? Can MRTB intervene to ensure that more government hospitals accept P&O interns earlier in the year, such as the first quarter? And this person raised this concern because most of them, the ones that have taken interns, would do so like in November, and they won't do that again till November 2025. So this person is asking if the board can intervene on when the hospitals take interns.
Well, you know, taking staff anywhere depends on budget and the plan that the institution has according to the funding that they have. So this is something that we need to find out. Is this something that can be adjusted or not? If it can be adjusted, we can do advocacy for it to be adjusted. And I think a very good place to start is to go to the ministry. I can do that. Discuss with the directors that coordinate the activities of teaching hospitals and federal medical centers. These are federal tertiary institutions where we are expecting and specialist centers like orthopedic hospitals, because I know for P&O, orthopedic hospitals do have P&O departments. So I'm going to go to the ministry and find out what's the situation of things, what can we be able to do to encourage them. But all this will be an advocacy because the board does not have the mandate to direct hospitals on when they should start internship and whether they should do internship. Of course, the mandate given by the Minister of Health will be very helpful, but the limit is that unless there is a budget for it, even a directive from president cannot be implemented. Because if the president says start this program, then there must be a budget line for equipment, for facility, resources such as human resource and other things. So these are important things, but the advocacy, if it's very strong, can help in bridging the gap that we have. And I assure you that I'm going to do that. The moment we the people return from the public holidays, I'm going to go to the ministry and I'm going to engage them and see how the advocacy can help for some adjustment to be made to accommodate interns, especially in those professions that have more challenges in getting places for internship.
All right, thank you, sir. So there's a question on license from Piano, and this question was also very popular among the PTs. What if securing internship placement takes time? Would the temporary license still be valid until placement is obtained?
Yes, so if you get your provisional license and you are not able to get internship placement on time, or you get the internship placement halfway and 6 months into the internship program, your license, provisional license expires. All you need to do is just to write to the board, pay 10,000 naira. So renewal of provisional license is 10,000. You pay 10,000 through remitter, and that's all you need. You just send that and your license number. In the past, we used to ask for the copy of the last license because I realized that we didn't have record. When I came in, there was a lot of record that was missing, and that's why I allowed for our staff to continue to ask for the last license so that we can make sure that all the records are available. But the most important thing, if the records are there, is just to submit your evidence of payment. You send your full name and your license number so that they can be able to trace your file, and they will look at the file, and if they see that license is there, if it's not, they will ask you to help provide the last provisional license, and then they will issue a new license for you. You will continue to use the renewed provisional license until you complete your internship, and then at that point, you will apply to get your full professional license.
Well, thank you, sir. This is definitely new information for most of us. I'm sure many people were not aware of this before. But a question did follow up similar to this from physiotherapy, and I think the rule applies across board. So I'll just bring it up now. The person asked if if they had started their internship and the license expires. You said they would have to get a new provisional license. The person asked if they will be able to get a full license, like the first registration license, since they had already started in internship.
No, you can't get a full license until you complete your internship, because one of the criteria for getting a full license is that you get a logbook, you get a certificate from the institution, from the hospital or clinic that you did your internship, stating that you have completed the internship. So these two things are very, very important. Without them, you can't get a full license. So if you get those two things, you now pay 35,000 for first registration. And then you put together all this and you send to registration@mrtb.gov.ng, or by the time we complete the registration platform, you'll just go onto the platform, make your payment, upload the certificate and the payment, while your logbook will be sent to the board either by your institution or by yourself, so that, because the logbook is something that you cannot upload, you will have to send the hard copy. But the certificate that you get that you have completed the program and the evidence of payment will be uploaded, and then you'll get your full license.
Okay, sir. All right. Thank you, sir. Sir, please, are there releases on these steps? For example, I'm not sure. Again, it is new information to us, and we might not remember all of this. So, the steps to take to get the full provisional, the first registration license. Maybe if there is a release to that, like a guide, so people can always turn to that. But
what
another question.
Sorry, I'm going to release an email address, and I would like to encourage all interns, or possibly if you can, the Google form that you used, I believe it has the names, the phone number, email, and possibly where the person graduated from and the year of graduation. If you can be able to get this, because we have established a unit in the board that is called Internship Unit. And that unit is expected to take care of issues like this. We have a head of the unit. Of course, because of that issue of salary, our staff did not get salary for 1 year. It affected the activities of the unit. But now, just 2-3 weeks ago, our staff got their salaries, and we want to now begin, and it's a new unit. It was when I came that we established the unit. So we want to now begin to collect data on interns, those that have already graduated. But those that are in school, from the next induction, we are going to let them know that they should register with the board. Let's have all their information whenever they are starting their internship. So already we have their records when we go for induction, but when they are starting their internship, we'll need their information. But let's have from those that are on ground, because I think what we usually get from the institutions is not a complete information. Phone number, email, and other information. From now on, we'll start to collect that. So what we'll do is that if we have the database, whenever there is any update on internship matters, we'll just send block emails and messages so that everyone will be able to get it. Another thing is that we'll make sure all this information gets to our website all the time. This is the tradition, but I think it's possible sometimes we make releases that does not go onto the website on time, and you may not be able to see that. So, but I assure you, by Monday, I will talk to the IT department. Everything we have should go on the website, so that regularly go to the website and check, you'll see information. But if someone, one of your representatives, can coordinate having a database, name, phone number, email, the school you graduated from, and the date that you graduated, let that come, so that we'll now compile that and we'll now begin to send these updates to you through email and messages.
All right, sir. I think on the group we have currently over 700 participants there, and I can reach out to you to fine tune the details of the Google form, and so we can have that mailing list as soon as possible, sir.
That's
Then another question from Piano. The person asks, why is prosthetics and orthosis not combined in Nigeria as a single profession like in other countries?
Are you sure it is the prosthetics and orthosis that's asking this question? Because I don't know any institution in Nigeria that is offering them separately. I know all the institutions that are offering these programs at degree and diploma levels. They are all offering them as a combined, as a program, the two combined in one program. But if that's not what the person is asking about, just clarify.
The person is from Piano, and that's exactly what the person was asking. But and since I was not aware, so I didn't filter that out.
Yes, please. If the
Right,
person is on this platform, let them speak out, because all programs in Nigeria are offering prosthetics and orthotics. It's not separate, because what I understand from the question is that whether there is a program, just like speech therapy and audiology, we now have speech therapy separate with its curriculum and with its a program on its own, and then there is audiology as a program on its own. So that's not how prosthetics and orthotics operate. It operates as one program with the two as a program. That's how it is in Nigeria. I've gone for inductions in Owerri. This is the second year that I've gone for induction, and we didn't induct them separately. It was one program. Same person will go through both. But if the person that asked this question knows it to be different, then let them clarify that matter.
All right, sir. So okay, one question, but this question also cuts across board. Is there a platform that facilitates communication between Piano interns and Mrtb? I know we just talked about a mailing list, but something like WhatsApp. Yes, sir.
Yes, well, if you want to maintain that WhatsApp group, I will be on the group. As I've told you, I believe so much in communication and in collaboration. If you leave that, I will be on the group. If there are concerns, questions, because you see that Mrtb rehab group for all the professions, I'm on it. Mrtb workshop, I'm on it. And if there are heated debates about issues, I make comments and I take note of things. In fact, sometimes I take actions in the board based on those comments that I see, especially the ones that are very disturbing to registrants. So if you want to maintain that, that's okay. But as I've said, we now have a unit in the board that is going to now start to collect data and will release an email. I said I will release it later because
Olamide, can you hear me?
No, sorry,
I
I
don't
think I lost connection in the other line. Okay, it's back. Yes, sorry. I'm using two devices just in case one loses a connection, but this one is back. Yes, so we have a registration platform, and that registration platform is being upgraded. We didn't have any link where interns can open a page and be able to register their complaints and also get communication and use it to renew their license, either the provisional one or to do the full registration. So this link will come up soon. That also will be another way that we can communicate. The email that I was trying to give you, I think is internship@mrtb.gov.ng. But I just wanted to confirm so that I will not give an email to many people and all of them will send messages and the message will not deliver because there's an error. But I think it is internship@mrtb.gov.ng. But I'm going to confirm that and I will post it on the WhatsApp group that has been created.
All right, sir. Thank you, sir. So we are moving from sorry, I know there is someone who wants to ask a question from piano, but we took down questions and hopefully and the next set of questions are a lot. So hopefully we have time. We would still be able to take in your question. So we're moving to physiotherapy. And the questions have similar sentiments. The first one is, why is internship placement so difficult for physiotherapy graduates? And there is a popular comparison with house officers under MDCN. There have been several requests for centralizing internship placement so that there is an unbiased system, because many people are told point blank when they go to hospitals to inquire about internship, it is now all about you need to know someone. And you'll be asked, do you know any senator? Do you know the CMD? Do you know any top government official? And now it is all about leg, it's all about connection. There was a lady who sent a message, she said she has been at home for over a year. There are people who are stay at home for 2 years, people who have to take on other jobs because of the economy. Someone gave a very specific example, to work as waiters in hotels. And I think the cry of the graduates are, what is MRTB doing about?
Okay. If you have completed the question, I think maybe it's network, or have you completed the question?
I've completed the question, sir.
Okay, you have completed. Okay, wonderful. So number one, I've always said this, that the responsibility of the board is enshrined in its act. And these are things that are mandates, these are things that are compulsory for the board to do. But there are other things that the board can do as from the perspective of advocacy. And we have been doing that, we'll continue to do that. And so the issues of the treatment of interns across professions in hospitals is something that is not within the mandate of the board, but the board can do advocacy to address that. Just like as individuals, each and every one of us has the responsibility of voicing out what is good and what is wrong so that it can be corrected, and those that are good should be maintained. All of us can work towards that. Now, you talked about the issue of centralization. Centralization is also not the responsibility of the board, because if you talked about MDCN, it was the ministry that approved, and I think it was during the time of Professor, what's the name of this professor that was provost and possibly vice chancellor in Ibadan. During, it's not long, he approved only for MBBS. And after the approval, what they did is that the salary of interns during budget is placed in MDCN. And therefore, it is not the hospitals that recruit them, it is MDCN that sends them. And since the hospitals know they are not going to pay them, it is MDCN that's going to pay them. And therefore, they accept them. Why should they reject them when they need their services and they are not going to pay them a single kobo? It is MDCN that will pay them because in the budget of MDCN, the salary of the house officers is put to them. Now, that was then. These current ministers, when they came, and these current ministers are not biased. They called us. They said, look, we want this thing to apply to your registrants also. And they said, go and bring data that will be used to do a memo because this is something that's bureaucratic. You have to go through the processes to have the approval for there to be a budget line for the salaries of interns in your own board. And we did. We submitted the data. I know the former Minister of State, before he left, he was working on it. Unfortunately, he left. And since we now have a new minister, he has to settle. And then if we are lucky that he also has the mindset of the one that just left, he will continue from where the one that left will continue. So this is institutionalizing this matter. And the issue of people asking for bribe or asking for who you know, this is a Nigerian thing. Shouldn't be encouraged. We should all work together to be able to change these things. But also, if you look at it and you read the act of the Mrtb, it's not there. But we can do advocacy and we can also go through other channels that rules and regulations of the country give us as individuals and as institutions to be able to address this. So if someone asks you for all that, report them. You know, that's why the ICPC is there, EFCC is there, report them. Possibly that may change it. But then we know our country. We just have to think and use our reasoning. What would be the best approach to be able to stop that syndicate that is stopping people that don't know people to be able to get placement in government institutions?
Um, okay, sir. Good evening, sir. My name is Orlando.
Opportunity, I can't hear you
So,
well.
back to what you said about centralization, art and best approaches from the previous. You said we have to go through the best approach, ICPC. Okay, sir. I said speaking on the best, going through ICPC or yes, any in Nigeria might not be visible. But one of the best approaches that we've seen is if LT take it upon himself to post students for internship. And you said it is not in the act that form Mrtb to do that. But another thing that we can do is, can we push for more things to be added to the act that form Mrtb? Because if we are not going that route, then we don't think things will get better. Rather than just advocacy.
It's very possible. You know, the process of reviewing the act of any organization starts with making a submission to the National Assembly. And it's not only government that can make a submission to the National Assembly. Individuals can do. House of Reps or senators can themselves look at those acts and say that, well, I want to promote a bill or sponsor a bill so that we can have some of the things in that act amended. It's very, very, very possible. Usually when it comes as an executive bill, it goes through fast, especially if the House of Reps and senators are interested in the bill. It's faster because it's an executive bill. And that is why mostly agencies will go through their ministries, and then the Ministry of Justice will collate, and then they will send it to the National Assembly. But even when it goes to the National Assembly as an executive bill, if there are additions that are important, people can reach out to their senators to debate it on the floor, or when there is a public hearing, people can go there, participate, and voice their concerns and their additions into the act. But of course, we all know how Nigeria works. Unless someone has an interest, going through many of these routes may not work to have something get into the act. And that is why getting into politics, I'm not saying that we should become politicians, but having that awareness of how politically you can influence things through people is important. Currently, we have done an internal review of the act because the last time that our act was reviewed was in it wasn't even a review. When it was enacted, 1988, during IBB's time, that was when it was a decree. And in 2004, the National Assembly now converted it into an act of parliament, but without any change in it. The only thing that we have additions are addendums that are gazetted, but they are not National Assembly passed acts or bills that go to the president for assent. These are gazetted regulations that are also very strong, but not as strong as that of the National Assembly. So it's very possible to do that. We can look towards having that so that we can be empowered by law to take up those responsibilities that you're talking about. But then, usually you have to bring in something that is relevant to a regulatory body. Anything that is not relevant to a regulatory body, they will not approve it. They will refer you to other government agencies that have already been given the
So I think your network broke up.
So, okay, at least I don't know what was the last statement you had, so that I'll be able to know whether to add anything or possibly to let you know that's where I ended.
Okay, sir. I got you right on the act and how we can amend it, but we solicit, and let me also use the word advocate. We solicit Mrtb to help us take this step, and let's review the act. 2004 till now, it's a lot, and we know we need to do better. And the only way we can do better is to review the act that we have been working on since 2004. Somebody just put on the comment section now that she has been traveling all over the country for a year now, seeking for internship placements. Security-wise, financial implication, they are not looking nice on the students. So those are one of the reasons why we need to centralize the placement. And another reason why I feel we should centralize the placement is even the connection we are talking about, that you have to know somebody before you can get internship placement. The physiotherapists in those hospitals don't even have a say when giving this internship. The medical doctors are the ones, because they are the CMDs. They are the ones that are in the position of the CMAC. So I can't even walk up to the physiotherapist, and the physiotherapist will help me in the hospitals. I have to know medical doctors, consultants to help us do that. So it's not favoring us. They favor themselves better, and it's our profession. So I think it's high time we take it upon ourselves and find the best approach, like you said. And one of the best approaches that I've seen is to review the act we have been working on, sir.
It's all right. That's possible. I think I'm going to send the act, because the act should be a public document. I will send it to you. Look at it. See what we are discussing, because as I've told you, we have done our review. But you now as stakeholders, and you're important stakeholders, because what we do affects you, look at it. See if there are areas that you would want to suggest adjustments or additions or modifications to capture what we are discussing now. So that when you send your own input, we'll look at our own input before we now take it to the ministry, because that's what we want to do in the first quarter of 2025 to have it amended. So that's okay. But let me emphasize, short-term plan is to make sure that we encourage more institutions to voluntarily allow accreditation to take place so that they can start an internship. And as I've said, this can include private hospitals or private clinics that are willing to have an MOU with other hospitals. So and as I've said, we are willing to waive a number of costs that are involved in accreditation so that we can be able to have as many as possible come on board. In fact, in the past, what was the cost of accreditation? In the past few months, we slashed it to less than half of what, and that was why we were able to have more. I think at some point we had about 15 or less than 15 places that were accredited. Of course, at that time, it was allowed for many hospitals that were not accredited to do internship. But then, those that are not accredited doing internship, they don't bother to buy equipment or take staff because one is going to come and do oversight. But now that we insist that everywhere should do accreditation, whenever we are going to for accreditation, we see new equipment, we see new staff that have been taken up. And because of their fear that they are going to pay too much as logistics, we reduced it. So we don't send people from other regions to go for a particular region, unless if we don't have, for example, statistics and outages. Sometimes you can't be able to get anyone from around a particular zone. You have to go to the southeast, those that have PhDs or those that are directors in the area to send them. But for professions like physiotherapy, we don't take people from other zones. We take resource persons from within the zone so that we don't have to pay for their flight ticket, which usually makes the cost very high. And for private clinics, we even take people from within the state, only that they shouldn't be affiliated to that particular facility. So these are the things that we did to bring down the cost so that we can have as many places as possible accredited. So help us with the advocacy, let them know the importance, let them reach out to us. We'll help them do the accreditation so that we can add them to our list.
All right,
Okay,
thank you, sir.
Okay.
All right, thank you, sir. So there was follow-up questions related to the things that you said. So many questions about addressing the limited number of hospitals. So aside, because when we even think of the advocacy for the recent graduate, it seems like an impossible task for us to actually take up on. So except if the board is directly pushing that, we feel like we do not have that influence to get it up. People I think I saw a message on the group saying we add up to 100 hospitals. I think you've given an explanation as to why that number has come down, but people are clamoring because if there are more hospitals, the speculation is that at least the process will get easier. So, sir, just if you can add any more thoughts to that.
Sincerely, I can wake up one day and just say every hospital that wants to do internship should just go and do it. I can do that. But I will tell you what's going to happen. You will get the space for internship. But do you know what's going to happen? By the time you finish the internship, you are not going to get space for a full-time job. Because no hospital will care to add staff because they know no one is going to come and give oversight function over them. Let me give you an example. I studied in Bayero University, Kano. Graduated.
Hello, sir. We stopped hearing.
The call came in. At that time, we had only one person that had a master's and very, very few, maybe 3 or 4 full-time staff with a first degree. Accreditation will come. When I finished, I graduated, I became a graduate assistant in 2005. I was employed as a graduate assistant. We had only one person as a lecturer 1, one person as lecturer 2, only 3 of us, graduate assistants. These were the only full-time staff. Accreditation came, we got full accreditation, or partial or full, whatever it is, the department got accreditation. But the MBBS program, they had over 20 staff, but MDCN denied them accreditation. At that time, MBBS students, when they finished their preclinical years, they had to go to either Ilorin or University of Maiduguri, where they had their degrees, and then they will now be inducted and they will start practicing. People kept asking MDCN, please look at these young people, be merciful to them so that they can be able to complete their program. MDCN insisted that the university must do the right thing. Now, why am I saying this? Fast forward, I became acting head of department, 2013. I was in Senate of Bayero University, Kano, when the Vice Chancellor was saying it very proudly, boasting, that do you know that I have more medical doctors than I have students in this university? He said he had 164 medical doctors as lecturers in the university, and MDCN only allowed them to take 100 students. That was the quota for the university. What made them to have that number? Because MDCN insisted that the universities must do the right thing, they must take more staff, they must have equipment. And the sacrifice they made later came to pay off. The same students that were feeling that MDCN was too harsh on them, that they had to go to Maiduguri or Ilorin, came back to the university and they were all employed. Everyone that comes back will just be employed. Use consultant in this, consultant in that, in this department, about 10 departments under the Faculty of Clinical Sciences. There are many examples that I can give you like this. The moment the board says, let all institutions just go and do internship, no problem. Even if you don't have staff, no accreditation, no problem. You will get the internship. All of you will get placement. But the moment you finish, no one is employing because there is no oversight. Then you will now start to be in the labor market waiting to get a job. So please, when we say let them do accreditation, it's not because we want to bring hardship to you, but it's because we want them to see the seriousness of the professions so that as they recruit to prepare for accreditation, when you finish, that is how you also get a job in those places. So that's just the principle.
Okay, thank you, sir. But okay, I understand the fact that the board cannot just instruct all hospitals to take internship. But we are not seeing, from our own part, we are not seeing any measure the board is taking on the hospitals that refuse to be accredited, rather than just don't take interns, because left to those hospitals, they are happy not to take interns because they're not going to pay. So it's like an advantage on their own part. But are there any measures being taken by the board on those hospitals? Is the board going to lock the clinics? Because I feel if an hospital is not ready to be accredited, the board should close down the clinic. They should not be working. Not only they cannot train. I feel anything that don't allow you to train interns should not also allow you to treat. It means you are not capable to treat patients in that hospital.
You are mixing things up. You are mixing things. Sorry, is it Dotun that is speaking?
No,
is it Dotun or is it someone else?
This is Olamide, sir.
Okay. So you are mixing things up. Let me tell you something. There's a difference between accreditation for self-practice and accreditation for internship. Now, in the past, the accreditation for self-practice was similar to accreditation for internship. But the world has gone beyond where we are now. And therefore, what is obtainable now for accreditation for self-practice is in levels. So you accredit a department or an institution and you can place them at level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, or level 5. What that is just like the healthcare system. You have primary healthcare, you have secondary healthcare, and you have tertiary healthcare. In fact, you have community level before you come to primary healthcare. You know what is obtainable in primary healthcare. It's not the same as what is obtainable in secondary healthcare. Can we send people to go to primary healthcare to go and do internship? No, because the facilities for internship are not available at that level. So even in tertiary and secondary healthcare system, the levels of accreditation can be from level 1 up to level 5. Level 5 is the highest, where you have everything that is required, but level 1 means you are nudging towards that level. In the whole world, they don't just say close hospitals, let them not see patients. But what you do is to give them limits. This is the limit to which you can do things, but you can operate. By the time you upgrade, you go to the next level. So it's very possible that if you look at this criteria, you'll see that internship can only come up at the level 3. That is where you begin to have specialization so that the interns can go through rotations. You have a general hospital, they don't have specialization. That's why they are called general hospital. Let them continue to practice. You have a specialist hospital. They have only one area of specialization. Interns cannot go there. Will you close them just because they cannot train interns? No, you allow them. And therefore, you can still have accreditation for self-practice at a lower level, but you cannot do internship. So that is the issue. So just because an institution does not have accreditation for internship does not mean that you go and close them. You only close them if they can't be able to have even level 1, meaning there is nothing that they can be able to offer the patients, and therefore you close them. So this is the mindset now all over the world, and this is what we are working towards. So we can't just go and begin to close places just because they are not doing internship. But what have we done? I met the Minister of State. I told him about our issue. He gave us the mandate. I told you earlier. He gave us the mandate, right, to all institutions that don't have internship for all the 5 programs. Tell them that I mandate them to do internship. I wrote to all the institutions, go and ask HODs. Any institution that is not doing an internship in any of the 5 programs, physiotherapy had fewer, but for prosthetics and orthotics, audiology and speech therapy, what we did not write to all institutions. What we did was to look at the regions where there are professionals. Because if you go to a region where there are no professionals and you tell them start, they will start, and then they will ask you to help them with professionals, and they won't get them. Because people that are being graduated, say, for example, audiology, speech therapy is the Southwest. Prosthetics and orthotics is the Southeast. And therefore, if all Southeast hospitals begin, they are more prone to having professionals to go there. Because someone may not leave Southeast when there is a hospital starting there and go to the Northwest, Sokoto or Kebbi. And therefore, we said at the first instance, we are not going to write to those hospitals that we are not anticipating that they will have professionals when they start the internship. Let's start from where they have professionals from around the region. And we wrote to them. Some of them wrote back to us. They said, thank you for this. We wanted to start. We didn't have a budget line. Can you give us a letter of the mandate that the minister gave? I went back to the minister. I said, oh, this is our report. Thank you for what you have done. People have started responding. And we said, let's get a letter. He wrote a letter. Within 2 days, gave it to me. I wrote to those hospitals. After writing those letters, that was when we have about 10 hospitals reach out to us. About 5 have already gotten their accreditation. I remember Igbobi. Before that letter went out, there was no single specialized hospital that was doing internship in any of the professions. It was my discussion with the minister that he said, look, because he asked me, why can't you do it in orthopedic hospitals? I said, because orthopedic hospitals is a specialized hospital. We need to rotate. He said, are you telling me in an orthopedic hospital, you don't have a pediatric ward? I said, there is. You don't have this ward? There is. You don't have cardiopulmonary. You don't have people that after surgery, they will deal with cardio. I said, there is. He said, then why are you limiting them? you are limiting the number of interns that can be taken. I agreed with him. But we said any hospital that does not have a particular unit must have an MOU with another hospital. Neuropsychiatric Hospital Maiduguri, they wrote to us. We told them that. They went, they got the MOU. They said because they are neuropsychiatric, the areas that they don't have, such as women's health, they will send them to that hospital. Igbobi too. We have accredited Igbobi. If you go to Igbobi now, at least for physiotherapy, I believe they must have started taking interns. We pushed them to do P&O, speech and audiology. They said they want to take it step by step. OAU, UCH, Ibadan, they wrote to us. They said they needed the mandate of the minister, and we gave them. They said they want to include it in their 2025 budget. And I believe they must have done that because for them to have requested for that, they are serious about it. We are waiting to see what will happen in the 2025 budget. All these efforts in a government that has bureaucracy, don't expect to see that effort materialize within months. By next year, we'll review the situation. We'll write reminders to them attaching the mandate that the minister has given us. We'll continue to follow them up. If they don't get it in the budget of this year, we'll push them to put it in the budget of next year. And that's how we'll continue to expand. We'll continue to expand. In the next few years, we'll now look back and we'll see what we have achieved. So please, it's not that the board is not doing anything. It's just that you will not know. I'm not the kind of person that will come and be advertising. Yesterday, I was in the office of the minister. I will snap a picture. I will post it. Yesterday, I was there. Go and ask people that knew me when I was president of NSP. I was not releasing pictures. But by the time I completed my 4 years, we had DPT, we had college. People didn't know what was happening. It was when it was approved. They just saw the picture of myself and NUC Executive Secretary, Professor Abubakar Rashid. It was when we completed registration of the college with CAC that we now took it to the Port Harcourt conference and we inaugurated the first set of fellows. That was when they knew that the college had been registered. So I just want to let you know that as we are sitting here, we are not just folding our arms and not doing anything. You may not see the results now, but as we are pushing, one day we'll look back together with you and say, this is what we have achieved. And that is why I'm carrying you along. And I'm telling you, help us in the advocacy. What I can do alone will be too small compared to what we can do if you also contribute. If you go to a CMD, you are not too small. I've never believed I was small. When I became president, I contested against professors. I was just lecturer one, going to senior lecturer. And I won the election. Some people called me a toddler. That's what they were calling me at that time. But I never saw myself as a toddler. And later they said, look, this guy is not even a toddler. He's a neophyte. I was up around 36, 37 when I was going around. But at the end of the day, I won the election. Someone said he didn't want me to be president because he feels ashamed that this small boy will go to NUC or Ministry of Health and say that he's the one representing physiotherapists in the whole country. I went. And all these things that we are talking about that have happened have happened. You are not too small. You can have a team, go to a CMD, sit with him and say that we are prospective interns. This is our challenge. This is what our board says. They will listen to you more emphatically than me going to them. By the time I go to them, they will say, these young people came. Please, what can we do to help them? And that way you'll see that the effort you put, the effort I put will all come together and it will bring in something more than what I alone or the board can be able to achieve. So sorry if I get too emotional because I can see your posts. I can see that you are seriously worried and possibly you are feeling hopeless that nothing is happening. But I'm telling you something is happening, but all I need is support from you. Let's work together. We'll achieve more than just myself or the board doing all these things that you are requesting are to be done. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for the responses. We'll move on to other questions because there are other questions here as well. Sir, you've mentioned sending an updated list. Suggestions came in about a portal listing the accredited hospitals and maybe a system to know when there are slots or there are available opportunities, if something like that would be possible?
Well, with the unit that we have created now, it's possible to have information. But the only thing is that as a board, I always say mandate, because me, I believe in mandate. If it is not a mandate, you are not going to see 100% effort, because you want the responsibility that you have been given to be a primary thing that you want to focus on. Then you now do advocacy because you are in a situation that you can be able to do advocacy. So we can't be going around asking institutions to let us know when they are going to advertise and things like that, and then we'll come. These are usually responsibilities of associations. Associations do those things. But as I've said, if we get information, we'll share. And that's why I said, let's have the database so that whenever we have, we'll share. But let it not be that if that has not been done, that the board has not done its responsibility, because it is not the responsibility of the board to be searching around to see where there are opportunities and share. But since we do advocacy, and also we are the ones that wrote to these institutions and say start. Whenever we get to know that they have started, we'll share. But when they continue, every year they want to advertise, they are not going to write to us, and we can only hear that they have done it, just like every other person can hear that they have done it. If we get to know, we'll share with you. But let me emphasize that it is not the board's responsibility. That is not part of the mandate of the board. But whenever we get information, we'll share. I assure you of that.
All right, sir. Thanks, sir. So a couple of questions came in to ask if it's possible to do internship training outside of Nigeria.
In the past, it was not accepted, but recently we got 2 cases like that. And we said, let's look at them at their own merit, because there is no regulation in the board that says don't accept it. But traditionally, it has not been happening. So what we did was to say, okay, let's put a criteria for accepting internship abroad. Number 1, is the institution recognized? Number 2, is there a logbook that shows what the interns went through with the specializations? Is it the same as what the board asks for their interns to go through in Nigeria? Then number 3, the nomenclature. We do clinical posting while we are in school in Nigeria. We call it clinical posting. It is when we graduate that we go out after graduation to do internship. There are some countries that their clinical posting is called internship. So the same as the internship we do after graduation, but their own is while they are doing the degree program, and they call it internship. So if we look at all these things and we are able to verify that yes, the school or the hospital where they did the internship abroad is a recognized institution, because we do accreditation here. And therefore, we are not going to go to that facility and accredit them. But there are other accreditation bodies in their country. Are they accredited by those accrediting bodies? Is it the facility recognized in Nigeria as one that has standards and that has quality? Do they have a logbook? Is the nomenclature right? Is it the same internship we do here that they do there? If we fulfill all that, we'll accept it. But we'll give them an exam. Even though they are coming after internship, we'll give them an exam, both clinical and theory, and then we'll now give them their full license.
All right, thank you, sir. So concerns have come in. A hospital was even named. That is it possible for an institution to be accredited by Mrtb for internship, yet they insist that they do not pay interns? And the popular example that came in is State House Medical Center in Abuja.
Thank you. If you look at the scheme of service. Now, this is where regulations and laws come in. It is National Council on Establishment through head of service, because the head of service of the Federation is the chair of the National Council on Establishment. It is the head of service office that is responsible for enforcing how much staff should be paid when they get a job. So it's their responsibility. It's not within the act of the Mrtb, but as I've always said, Mrtb can do advocacy. But if you are not paid and you have been given a letter stating the level that you have been taking, because intern and corpus, they are captured in the scheme of service, usually at the lowest level of the hierarchy of the scheme of service. So if scheme of service says this is what staff should be paid, it's just like the minimum wage. Federal government has approved the minimum wage. If any facility does not pay that minimum wage, then there is a process of enforcement. And it is the office of the head of service that is responsible for enforcing that. And therefore, if you are taken and you are given a letter, you are an intern physiotherapist, you are an intern occupational therapist, intern speech therapist, audiologist, or PMO, and you are not being paid, then the channel is through the office of the head of service. The board can do advocacy. The board can also add it as part of accreditation guidelines, because of the fact that if you want quality, you want people to be remunerated properly. So that can be there. And if it is there, people will earn points, and we can decide whatever it is that we can from the perspective of the board through accreditation of the facilities. But the primary institution that is responsible for enforcement of remunerations is the head of service of the Federation. So we can approach it from both sides. Petitions to head of service, and also the board during accreditations or during inspections, writing to the institution to say that we have heard this is happening and this is going to affect quality of the services offered or quality of the training offered. And therefore, since it is there in the scheme of service, we insist and mandate that it should be done. So these are the two ways that we can be able to approach it.
All right, thank you, sir. So another question is, why are private hospitals and private clinics not being accredited for internship placements? What are the barriers to accreditation for more institutions, including federal and state hospitals? I think you've spoken on it, but maybe for those who just joined.
Yes, I think I've said it, that it's not compulsory to do internship. There is no regulation that says hospitals must do internship, but it's many do it, and it's important because it's one of the levels that someone needs to go through before they become licensed fully and get a full-time job. So it's an important thing, but no regulation says it's compulsory, and that is why we can't just go and begin to force people to do accreditation for internship. They need to show interest that they want to do the internship, and then we'll do accreditation, and then they will take up that responsibility of producing, running the internship program. So I've talked about advocacy. I've talked about how the minister has mandated hospitals to do that. So I think let's go through these two channels. The advocacy, especially for the private. Minister does not have the mandate. That's why he did not ask me to write to private hospitals. He didn't ask me to write to state hospitals because they are not under his, they are not part of the responsibility that he has. They are not under his care. So we do not write to state hospitals. We only wrote to federal hospitals because that is where he has mandate. And these are the ones that I said they have already started responding. So for states, we can write letters to encourage state governments through their commissioners to start internship. And another thing is, let's sit down and look at justification for starting. Let's look at how does the state or the hospital or the facility benefit from having the internship program? If you're having an internship, your research will change, your clinical practice will change because the training you do there will influence the way patients are seen. Now, that's another thing that we can look at. Let's sit down and articulate these benefits. Everyone wants to do something because it's beneficial to them. What sort of financial gain can these facilities, clinics, and hospitals gain? Convince them, especially the private clinics, believe me, if they know having an internship program there is going to influence how their financial gains will come, believe me, they will start. And we can get statistics for those places that are doing it. How were they faring before the internship and how are they now? All those things, we package it, we write, we convince them. And you'll see how that may make an impact and change the way things are done.
All right, thank you, sir. So regarding one of the things earlier on in this call, an occupational therapist has asked how he can reach out to the board concerning recommendations for those notifications of those hospitals and recommendations for places that can take in the OTs.
You mean, okay, a recommendation for places that can take. I thought you reaching out to senior colleagues and association may be more helpful. Because in the board, as I've told you, we don't have a single OT. I'm not an occupational therapist. Through the interactions that I have with states, all the inductions that I go to and other activities, I get information. But they say, ask those who know if you don't know. If I'm not in the profession, there are people that will know more. Because when I came in, that's what I did. I called the associations and said, please give me data. And I think I have part of that data, which I can release to you. But then if you have more, you want more comprehensive data, you can reach out to senior colleagues, reach out to your associations. They should be able to give you more data than we'll have, because we are just starting to generate the data, and it is through them that we are collecting the data. So if that's what you are asking, yes, sorry, just children just came in. I think, yes, you reach out to senior colleagues, the association, but whatever we have at the board, if you need that, just reach out to us. We are going to release the data to you.
Yes, sir. I think the person was talking specifically like those places that have OTAs without OTs, on how to like make a report to the board on that.
No, send to inspectorate. I think I've mentioned this earlier. Wherever you have those, send an email to inspectorate@mrtb.gov.ng. So states give information about that place, give the evidences that you have, and very important, give your contact so that if they need to have more engagement with you, so that it will help them to be able to inspect and come up with an action against that practice, that they can be able to do that. So inspectorate@mrtb.gov.ng.
All right, thank you, sir. There is a question of licensing of the hospitals. So someone is asking if I don't know if this is possible, but if a hospital is partially accredited, and then while the person begins, or partially or fully accredited, the person begins internship, but by the end of the internship year they have lost accreditation, what would be the status of their internship?
So when the 6 months to the time that the approval will expire, we send notification to the institution, and we let them know when we'll be going for re-accreditation, and we give them the financial implications and the guideline for them to prepare. So usually institutions will pay before the time and will go, but some institutions may not. So if they don't, and you are still doing it, Now that we are gathering data and we are going to ask interns, that's what I was telling you earlier, that with this internship unit and the platform, digital platform, where we'll have a link where you go and register as an intern. The moment you get a place of internship, and this is something that we are going to start saying to inductees, that the moment you get a place for internship, you need to go and register. In the platform, you put your name, your license number, you put the place where you got the internship, and you put the date that you started the internship, so that we have that data. If that place loses accreditation, we'll now write to you. What we usually do is that when you complete your internship, you come to us for license, and you did it in a place that lost accreditation, we look at the period that you did it in that place, ask you to go to another. So the moment
So you're breaking up and
if
we
we
cannot catch what you're saying.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Internship approval expires. So the
Okay, sir, it's breaking again.
you have registered with our facility, and we now communicate with you. So you reach out to them. Now have the accreditation, then you continue there. But if they are not willing to have the accreditation, then you'll have to move to a place that is accredited, completed, and then you come for your license. Now, I understand this issue has made many facilities to agree to do the accreditation, re-accreditation. Getting to know that when their interns completed, they are not going to get license has made many. Just today, a particular team completed accreditation in a place similar to that. They were about to finish. The interns went to them and complained, if we finish, we are not going to get license. They quickly paid, and we went for the accreditation 2 days ago. They just completed the accreditation today. So this is the situation, because if we don't do that, many places will not agree for the accreditation to take place.
So you were breaking up, but just so I can recap to be sure that for everyone that is listening and to be sure that we got the information right. So when we have a portal and we can log in, we would put when we started the internship. So that puts us in a safe net, first of all, that we started when they were accredited. And then if along the way they lose this accreditation, we might have to go to a different institution to complete, but that's usually not been the case because the institutions then get their accreditations back. Is that the case, sir?
Yes. What I said is that when you start 6 months into it expires, 6 months before it expires, as I've said, we write to them before the expiry. But if it gets after the expiry, we now will communicate that to those that have registered with the board that they are doing their internship in a particular facility. We'll communicate to them. If not, then let interns be finding out in the facility when is that to get information. They reach out to their facility. Look, it has expired, and the board is not going to give us license. We want to encourage you to have this accreditation, because what I've come to realize is that many of these hospitals have this salary. Therefore, if they don't get accreditation, they lose that. And therefore, it makes them to be serious about it. That's if they see that the board is serious about it also. So that's the situation.
All right, sir. Still talking about licenses, some people especially now that most of us know that if your provisional license expires, you need to get a new one for 10,000 naira. People, I think there are people who have been aware of this, and they are saying that the current email is not responsive. Someone in particular had a complaint that for almost 2 months now, she had paid, but she's yet to receive her license. And I think some are reaching out and are not getting any feedback.
These submissions, people sending email and not being responded, is there anyone that has experienced that within this week? Please let me know, because yes, I had 2 months, and I will explain why we had that, the one for 2 months. But just try to find out from amongst colleagues if people sent an email within this week. Response. Let me explain to you why we had that before. Our staff did not get salary for a year. For 1 year, 1 good year, our staff did not get salary from until early this month. Our staff did not get salary. Myself, I've not gotten salary for 16 months. Since I joined Mrtb, I've not gotten salary. So that has affected activities of the board. Because at some point I started to give query, but I later realized you can't give query to someone that has not eaten, but that does not have the money to transport themselves at work. So what I did, I brought in people as casual staff, because you can't have staff doing the job and you are paying them when they have salary. When auditors come, they will say, these are staff, they are getting salary, you are paying them from IGR. What are you paying them for? And it doesn't matter whether government is paying or not, because at the end of the day, there's going to be arrears coming. So we brought in few people that are helping, but still, it was not enough really to be able to cover all the activities that need to be done. So after that, discussions that I had with stakeholders, all professionals, last week, I got a lot of that and I apologized. And when I returned, I had a meeting with the department. We selected individuals that are responsible for answering calls and also responding to emails. I was in the office today. They brought many files to me that I approved, and they have started to write back to people and issue the license. I have the email address of registration. I am now monitoring it to see if there are emails coming in that are not being responded to, or if the cases that I've approved are not being sent to individuals. So I assure you that this is improving, but monitor. If you have complaints, please just send them. You have a platform. Send individual cases so that as I see them coming, individual cases, but I can be able to call the head of department and ask what's happening, that people are still complaining about getting responses or getting their licenses sent to them on time.
All right, thank you, sir. I hope the people who sent in those questions listen to that. So please reach out again. Okay, so still on license, someone asked if they can delay the payment of the renewal of their provisional license till after they've secured internship placement.
If you are not going to practice, you can delay it. But let me tell you, delaying it does not help you. Because when you come to the board to get your full license, we are looking at the whole period, and you must pay whatever it is that you didn't pay earlier. So let's assume you finish your internship 2004. Sorry, you graduate 2004, and you don't get a placement until 2005. So in 2005, you start and you complete it in 2006. When you come to get your full license, we'll look back and say, when did you graduate? Then we'll now ask you, okay, pay 10,000 for that 1 year with penalty, and then pay 35 for that second year. And if well, that one will not have penalty, but this first year that you did not renew on time, there will be penalty. So I think it's best, whenever it's due, just pay. So, but it's up to you. If you don't, At the end, you'll still have to pay the backlog, and possibly you have to pay the fine.
All right, sir. Then, okay, there is a question. I think some current interns have sent in some questions as well. So someone asks, in a case where they finished their internship in October and they got their first registration license, I think as you said it, you submit all your documents, you pay 35,000, you get your first registration license. However, that license would expire by December 2020, December of this year. And what happens if they were not called up this year and the license is already expired? What can the board do to ease that situation?
Sorry, it was season when you spoke. Can I just get it clearly?
Okay.
Just say that again.
Okay, sir. For an intern, this is the case. An intern who finished internship October 2024 and
Yes.
gets the first registration license that expires by December.
Okay.
But the person has to go for NYSC, and because they need that first registration license for NYSC, they got it. But now they didn't get called for NYSC before December. It got moved to the next year. What can they do? Throughout the year, they did not expect that they would need to accrue CPD points. So what can they do?
Okay, now I think don't try to do to say, okay, if I've already get into NYC, it means I don't need the license anymore. So I wouldn't do it until let's not do that. But let me explain this. If you finish your internship and you apply to get a license before October, that is when your license will read until end of that year, 31st of December of that year. So you applied for full license in June, July, August, September. Your license will read up to 31st December of 2024. But if you apply, that's you finish your internship in October, and you apply, your license will not read 31st December 2024. It will read 31st December 2025. So it's when you finish and you apply before October that it ends in that year. But if it is in October and beyond, then it's going to read December of the following year. So that is the way it is. Now, whatever it is that you link it with the service or getting job or whatever it is, well, this is just what it is, because I'm not even very sure whether it is you are linking it to service or you are linking it at work. But whatever it is, it's about October. Before October, your license will read up till the end of that year. If it is October and beyond, it is going to read December of the following year.
All right, sir. Thank you for the clarification. So I think this question talks about support for interns. That what support can Mrtb provide for interns facing challenges such as withheld salaries, salary deductions, mandatory levies, maltreatment, removal of hazard allowances, and some of these deductions and some of these maltreatments come directly from the hospital management, and in some other cases they come from the department.
Okay, now, the board regulates practice, training and practice. And part of the practice is when there is unethical activities or practices. So if the person that maltreats you is an Mrtb member, you can report them, and then the case will go to investigating panel, and the investigating panel, when it's convinced that there is a disciplinary case that's supposed to be made on that person, it will be referred to a disciplinary committee. And then after that, there will be an action taken, either license withdrawal or whatever penalty it is that the board thinks that person should be given. So you say so, but if it is not a medical rehabilitation professional, if you report, the MRTB can write to the relevant institution, either the regulatory body of the person that maltreats the intern, or if they don't have a regulatory body, their institution, or whatever it is that it needs to be done, the MRTB will write to them. So this is what needs to be done. Sorry, what was the second thing that you asked?
It was just one question, but covering maltreatment, salary deductions, mandatory
yes, salary deduction. I think I've mentioned that whatever package you need to have is there in the scheme of service. And if it is not paid, then head of service is the best place, because that's the primary agency of government that takes care of that. However, I keep saying advocacy, and I'm not sure if you are really happy with the word advocacy, because the thought is that the board should be powerful enough to do all those things. That's why we are talking about having the what is it called? The act reviewed. There is a case recently of someone that got a job for internship, and the person was told that they will not be paid. So when I said, where is your letter? The person said they didn't give me. I said, how can you get an appointment and they will not give you a letter? But I said, look, I don't know how these places operate. Let me reach out to a senior person in that organization and clarify first before any action is recommended. When I reached out to the senior person in that organization, the person said, there is no individual that will give a formal letter that will not be remunerated. If that person is told that they will not be remunerated, then they are not part of those formal people that were appointed. Then he now told me that what usually people do in admin is to collect your money, and they will tell you that you have gotten a position. That's why they will not give you the letter, because no one signed the letter. They just collected the money. And therefore, they will continue to play around and say, come next month before you start your job. Come another month, the letter has not been released. You have already paid money. Of course, they will say you will not get salary, because if they tell you you get salary, you'll be expecting that you go and submit your account details, and you do the formalities of sending your account numbers to account department and things like that. So at that point, what I did was to say, well, go and meet that person. Let that person take you to the admin, so that if they go there, let them get your file. If they get your file, they will be able to verify. Is it true that the hospital gave you a job, a formal appointment, or is it not true? If it is not true, let them apprehend the person, because that will be fraud. Collect your money and promise you a job. But if it is true that they have given you an appointment, let that person find out why they are saying they will not pay you. And if it is a management issue, then they will take it up. But if it is an officer issue, they will also take it up with the officer. So we do a lot of these advocacies, because we don't have the mandate to stop it or not to stop it. But we'll continue to do the advocacies. But if it goes beyond what advocacy can do, then we can advise the person, let them take it up with the appropriate department or unit in the facility, or at the higher level, which is the office of the head of service. And I think it's very important, before you start your internship, get the PSR, Public Service Rules, get financial regulation, get the scheme of service, get all these documents. If you understand them, then you'll be able to know how to go to the right channel to be able to take up the case to the right offices. But if you think you don't want to do internship in that place because they are not going to pay, the best thing is don't take it. Don't take it. Look for a place that you can be able to do it. Because another thing is that you can go anywhere, and if they say they must pay, they will say that, well, there is no regulation that says I must do it. So let me even stop it completely. So these are the issues. It's complicated, but then it's simple from another perspective, because there are laws, there are regulations, and there are officers and agencies of government that are responsible for taking care of things like that.
All right, thank you, sir. There's a question here about MRTB regulating intern salaries, but I think gathering from all you've said, it is not within the scope of the board, and unlike, because it's usually compared to MDCN, and unlike MDCN, if I recall correctly, like you said, MDCN is the one that pays the house officers, while in the case of MRTB, that is not it. Is that correct, sir?
Sorry? Yes, MDCN pays their house officers because of the centralization. But for others, it is the hospitals that pay them. And that is why the hospitals will decide sometimes not to take. They will decide not to do accreditation. They will decide when they take them to say, we'll pay you this amount or not pay you at all, because they are the ones responsible for payment. But for MDCN, the budget is imputing to the budget of the salaries is imputing to the budget of the MDCN. And when they send them for the posting, when they finish, they pay them directly from MDCN.
All right, thank you, sir. So this question is about CPD points. The person is asking if interns are required to accrue CPD points and how feasible it is given their limited finances, especially when they become core members.
No, interns are not required. At least for now, we don't see a reason to ask interns to do CPDs, because the internship itself is a training. You know, you have not completed the training until you finish internship. That's why you don't get a full license. You get a provisional license, because the internship is seen as part of training. And that is why you are mandated to make presentations during internship. You are also not seeing patients independently. You are assigned to a supervisor, someone that will continue to see how you treat patients. They will continue to guide you. They will continue to teach you during ward rounds or during clinical postings and all that. So we don't ask interns to do CPD before they get their full license. But from the moment you get your full license, you are going for NYSC, or maybe if you are going to get exemption, from that point onward, if you are going to renew your license, you must have CPD. And when people complained of funds, I said, this is not about funds. It's about the skill and knowledge. And that is why we started to do free workshops for corpers. And remember, all MRTB workshops that are theoretical, that are done online, we said those that are less than 5 years should pay 1,500 only. And I keep saying, I don't know any organization that does a day workshop and participants are asked to pay 1,500. We have seen the challenges that causes, because people keep complaining that we have not upgrading Zoom to over 100. To do that, you will need nothing less than 1 million to pay for Zoom that will accommodate more than 100. You must pay resource persons. Usually we get professors, directors, and people that have a lot of experience. They have other things to do. If you don't remunerate them, they wouldn't have the time to sit down, prepare, come and give a one-day lectures. So that funds is very small, but why did we agree to have it come down? Because of corpus and because of those that just finished internship at NYSC that have not gotten job placement. We say, okay, that's fine. Just pay. It's not about money. And now we are even doing a workshop free for interns. And we'll continue to do that. We'll continue to do that, because what is important, let them acquire the knowledge and the skill. When they get it, they come and they renew at their license.
Okay, there is a question about having a channel between MRTB and prospective interns current interns and core members. I think you spoke at the beginning that we can maintain this one for prospective interns, but I think this person is asking, okay, for when people become interns and when people become core members, for that communication between the board and them.
Yes, I think there are a number of channels. This platform that I've created is one. Another thing is the internship unit that I've mentioned in the board. There will be their email addresses. I've talked about internship@mrtb.gov.ng. At some point, if we feel it's relevant to also have a forum for corpus and corpus, we will have. And then the WhatsApp platforms, I'm on many. If you look at my phone, you will see many groups. Almost everyone that is opening the groups that have to do with MRTB, either for workshops or for a number of other things, I'm on those platforms and I monitor them. And it's helpful because sometimes I will make a post. Even if I don't make a post, I will pick one or two things from the feedback given and I will go back to the office, try to implement them. So we'll have many other platforms that will come up. And we can continue to have these interactions. If you can have your representatives continue to organize this, I will always be available to meet. Usually evening times are better for me because in the mornings and afternoons, anything can happen that I'll be summoned to one ministry or another to do official activities. So I wouldn't mind continuing to engage in the future.
All right, thank you, sir. I think so. So that so many questions came, but so that we can take maybe a few live questions because we are reaching 2 hours already. So I think during some of the induction speeches, you mentioned the Rehabilitation 2030 plan, and how everyone, the goal of the board is for everyone that will be practicing in Nigeria by 2030 that they would have their DPT. And so we think about it, we calculate the timeline. Okay, it is even difficult to get internship placement, but say someone graduates this year and by 2025 they are done. And then 2026, maybe they can get their NYSC. Is there enough time to be able to reach that goal of everyone having their DPT, especially since only one institution in Nigeria takes it and it's a lot of money? Some people might have to work for a while before they can get that kind of money.
Okay. Actually, that policy came out, I think, about 3 years ago. I was a member of the governing board that was dissolved. When that policy came up, the governing board approved that. I think at that time, it was around 2020, 2021. So it was about 10 years from that time. But of course, I can see what you're saying because up to now, we have only one that's doing the transitional, or maybe another one just about to join. Now, coincidentally, I was at the NUC yesterday, a National Universities Commission, because it was the National Universities Commission that had it in their documents that someone needs to wait until the 5th year to join, spend 2 years with entry-level students, and then get transitional DPT. Now, when Ondo started and they separated it and they started online, I cautioned them. I said, NUC is a government agency. The board is a government agency. I wouldn't want a situation in which NUC will have a rule and the board will have another rule and there will be clash in the future. I said, I'm very happy that you are doing what you are doing because that is what is going to help many people to be accommodated, but let us engage NUC so that we can harmonize the two pathways. And I was there yesterday. I met the director of academic standard. There is a new executive secretary, but he has not resumed work, and therefore I was not able to see the ES. I met the director of academic planning. We discussed, and he said he's very happy. He said it makes a lot of sense to say that people must wait for 5 years will take long, and also it is their teachers that will now come and sit in the class. In another class, they teach. In another class, they now come and sit down together with their students. It's not a bad thing. Knowledge is like that. The teacher can sit with the students, but this is Nigeria. There are a lot of challenges of using that pathway of NUC. And they said I should write. They said, let the board write. In fact, on Monday, I'm going to write, send it, so that let them approve that all institutions can start now instead of waiting until the next 5 years. The moment they give us that approval, then we'll now continue to communicate with all institutions. Many institutions will want to start for obvious reasons. And that way we'll cover lost grounds. If by 2030, we see that there are challenges that has made people not to be able to do it and it's not their fault, then the board can sit down and review the years and extend it. But if everything goes as planned, then we'll keep it. So that if you don't have it, you will have to go and do it and come back before you become licensed.
All right, sir. And still related to the DPT program, someone is asking if it is compulsory to do NYSC first, or is it something you can go into immediately after internship?
Well, it is not a postgraduate degree. You know that DPT is still an undergraduate program. So even though transitional is for people that have graduated, but it's just an upgrade, something that you were supposed to do in your undergraduate, but you did the DPT before DPT was approved. You are just going back to upgrade. I did my master's and PhD, completed my PhD in 2012. It was when I completed my PhD that I now applied to University of Michigan Flint in the US, and I did my DPT between 2013 to 2015. And I told people, I said, see, I've done my PhD, that was the postgraduate program. But this program I'm doing is an upgrade of my undergraduate program. And if it is an upgrade of an undergraduate program, no one is going to insist that you have to do NYSC before you do it. If you do it after NYSC, it's fine. But if you have not gotten placement for NYSC, no one will stop you from doing it. The only reason people will stop you from doing it possibly is if there is a lot of competition. And there are people that have been in the system for long and they want to give them priority so that they can complete it then before they take other ones. I'm not saying that's what will happen, but I'm just saying it's possible. Perspectives, there are many perspectives. People may decide to do that, but I'm not sure. But there is no regulation or law that should stop people from doing it before they go for NYS.
All right, thank you, sir. So, okay, I think I have a hand up. Jen,
Okay. Good evening. Good evening, Professor. I've been in this class for a while now, and I just have a question, or let me say an observation to make, if possible. Though. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes,
you're
I can hear
audible.
you.
Okay. So I was in the last conference. I am a prospective scientist. So I was in the last conference where you attended in Abuja, where you complained about hands not being available for P&O to work and the rest. And then me and my colleagues anyways, when we talk about it, we say we are here and we have not even been utilized. And then there's a cry for more people to come join into the profession that we don't even know what we are doing or where we're going to. So for us, I think it's not even about, I feel like our own profession is more hands-on, because we have to know exactly what we're doing. If not, we're going to make a lot of mistakes. So, like for me in particular, I don't even need payments. All I need is accommodation. If there's a place, if there's anybody, I went into the service this year because we're just told to go since, not like now, then we didn't even have like accredited areas because most of them were not accredited then. So I'm into service now. The hospital I'm working in has no provision for P&O. In the whole state, there is no provision for P&O. So we're just flying around. So I'm just appealing. I don't even need payments. All I need is just a place that can accommodate and teaching. So I don't know if it's possible with all the um senior colleagues that you have. I don't know how to put it. All I'm saying is by next month I'll be done with my service and I still want to be in the field. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay. Thank you so much. I think I gave an account of what we have done in the board through the association inputs and also Victoria. We're all good, that is our staff in the board. I know 5 facilities will not be a big number, but considering the fact that in the last few months there was not even a single one, and also looking at the fact that it's not compulsory, and therefore people are shying away from it. We have to advocate, we have to push, we have to cajole them, we have to even make it free to do the accreditation. I would say that having 5 is a good number. Another problem is that 5 may not be able to accommodate many. So if we look at it as a good number, then on the other hand, you will still see it as very small, because how many people is it going to accommodate considering the number that is being produced from especially Owerri. So I think we have a lot to do, but the good thing is that we know the direction to follow. It's just up to us to work together. And I assure you, we'll continue to reach out. We'll continue to reach out. We'll not rest. We'll continue to work towards having more come up, both public and private. That's just what I can be able to say. But let's work together to see that we have more that are coming up.
All right, thank you, sir. John Daniel.
Okay, Prof, good evening. Good evening, everybody. Okay, I just have a challenge because since I graduated 2022, I've been moving around this whole country looking for intern replacements as a VCO. And most times when you go to a place, you see people asking for money or already giving you the amount that you are meant to pay. And sometimes the hospital, after the interview and the whole exam, you realize that they haven't gotten accreditation and just have to leave that hospital. Prof, what is my concern is that since that time, I've been taking seminars, paying for seminars, attending workshop and all the stuff as a graduate that has not gotten internship replacement. But now, since I've been doing that, there is no information from the board. Sometimes the training, the seminars that I attend are Mrtb seminars, but there is no direct information. Like, let me say, when Mrtb wants to organize seminar, they send you a direct message. There's no communication. I'm not getting anything from them, and I feel like there's a big line. And I just feel like there's a separation. It's maybe the board needs someone to renew license, something like that. And it's somehow worried because we were even told you can reach out to the board. You can reach out to the board, and nobody say okay, that you can. This is the person. And for us, for me, now, to ask is if there can be a portal for, let me say, mentorship, because sometimes, okay, like now I finished
I cannot hear him anymore. But sir, maybe if you can address some of the things.
Yes. Well, actually, if you look at all the things that we have been discussing, I keep mentioning mandate and advocacy, and I will not stop that because there's what is called institution, and what institution means is there is a regulation or there is a law, and that should guide whatever you do. But out of your free time, there is nothing that stops you from looking at humanity to support the system that you serve or support the system where that's your community. And so there are some issues that you have mentioned. The issue of mentorship is something very important, and we can do that. But it's not within the mandate of the board, but we can do that. And we are going to think of how to do that. But I think the best thing is for us to liaise with associations. Liaise with associations, because associations are the ones that have much more covering that they can focus on than agencies of government that have an act that's really very limited. Now, the issue of sending messages, this is noted, and that is why our workshops are now going to be transferred to a company that we established, registered with the CAC, Mrtb Investment, and under it, we have a unit that can handle all that. Now, if you have a unit that can handle all that and you have registrations being paid, you can be able to use that to have people that can help you with IT issues, with communication issues, and with many other things. Because the IT and communication in the board are expected to focus on issues of registration, accreditation, inspectorate, and other activities that are within the Act of the Mrtb. So by the time we take it out from the Mrtb and put it into a company that is owned by the Mrtb and guide them, we can be able to bring in people that can be able to do those things, focus on them, so that the staff of the Mrtb can focus on these other issues that are more regulatory in nature. I assure you all these are noted, and we are going to focus on them. Those that are within the mandate of the board will take the update, will put things in better shape. Those that are not within, we'll look at those that we are going to do, and we'll look at those that we are going to work with associations to be able to achieve them better. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. There was someone's hand who was up, Mr. Oluwafemi, but I think the person has left. I'm trying to see if there is any question on YouTube. Okay, someone mentioned a hospital specifically that Ministry of Defense does not pay hazard and call allowance, and interns are placed on calls in their facilities.
Well, as I've said earlier, this is something that has been recurring. Let us know those. It's going to be an advocacy. I wouldn't mind moving around, talking to them, encouraging them. But what is more institutional is to take the scheme of service and show them, or write a letter to them, that from the scheme of service, you are entitled to ABC. It's not been paid as attached in your payslip, and you are requesting for it. And if it is not done, then you can reach out to go to the head of service, ask for the relevant office, seek for their guidance, and see if they can be able to intervene to have those things happen. But of course, we know the military, police, I don't think they are operating under the mainstream civil service. They have their own commissions, and therefore you need to find out what office is it that handle that. You go there, you write, you make a request. This is how to approach things. But the board will support you. If we get this information, just remember it is an advocacy. We don't have a mandate to go and push and make them to pay what is right, because it is not within the mandate of the board. But we can help through advocacy, and I assure you we'll do that. Just reach out to us, we'll find free time, and we'll go and we'll support you in talking to them. Sometimes we don't even need to go there. If you know someone in the military that you can be able to call and say, can you find out for us why this is happening? Can you intervene? Can you do this and that? That also works sometimes. Thank you.
All right, sir. So there's a question. Asking if you can elaborate on the expectations for documentation and reporting during internship. Is there a standard format of filling the internship logbook?
Well, what we can do possibly is to have the head of department of registration and also the head of unit of internship, possibly and myself. Let's do a little orientation for interns on that. You can organize that. We can just have 1 or 2 hours. We'll do the presentations and then we'll have questions and answers. Possibly that might help more. But to now begin to discuss that here, it will take us a long time because the logbook, it's something that is really a comprehensive thing that helps you to put in a lot of things that comes to us for assessment.
All right, thank you, sir. I don't think we have any more questions, and I really hope we were able to capture majority of concerns and hear your response to them. So I think, as you've suggested, we'll keep the group on, especially since you're on it, and hopefully we can voice our concerns on the group and know that you are listening. Okay, so I just got a DM. Someone asked if for P&O, if they can do their internship under the supervision of a licensed professional, even if the hospital is not accredited.
No, please don't do that. If you do that, your com will not license you. What you can do is to push for them to have accreditation. If you have any hospital like that, just reach out to us. Let us know if they have a licensed a professional that can supervise you. Usually, if you have a specialization, it needs to be more than just one person. But what we can do is to tell the hospital that, look, this is what we need. But because these places are not available, we are going to overlook for now, but we encourage you to search and get more people that will cover the other specialty areas. We'll approve. Because when you start something, it's not the quality that you look at the most. You look at both availability and then the quality. And then as you move forward, you continue to be much more stringent on the quality. So we can, but let it be that they are accredited so that we'll continue to monitor them. At some point, we'll say, look, we overlooked when we started, but now it's time for you to have this because we know these professionals are available out there and we know you have the resources to be able to employ and to put in more equipment. That is the reason why we say there must be accreditation so that we go there, we see what you have, we have the records, and we can be able to monitor you over time. But if we just say, just go and do it, we don't know what's there. What's the guarantee that the training that you are required to have before you become a full licensee, that you get that training? Without accreditation, there is no way we can monitor. So please, that's why we are asking for the monitoring, for the accreditation. But we'll make sure that we make things easier for now so that you can get engaged. By the time you continue to produce and they continue to get the resources to take care of the minimum standard, then we now push and say the bar is higher now. You must put in all those things in place at a later time.
Thank you very much, sir. Okay, so it is inspectorate@mrtb.gov.ng.
Yes.
And okay, some people are not on the group. I'm going to quickly so please, if anyone can help me post the group link so that before the call ends, I would also post it on YouTube. In case you can check the MRTB YouTube channel. It will be posted on the recording of this call. So Thank you so much, sir, for the answers. I know it's not like after this meeting we are all getting internship placements, but I think it's good that we have our questions, our concerns have been heard. We know more now. We are not all happy with the state of things, but at least we've established a line of communication, and we're thankful for that, sir.
Thank you very much, and thanks for joining, for the interest. You are all after development of yourselves and the professions and the system in general. Thank you so much. May God bless you all.
Thank you, sir. We can all exit. Oh, thank you.